One Piece is a series that is enigmatic due to its ever-twisting road that Oda is creating with his Nika-like imagination. How many times have we been shocked by a revelation that we were least expecting? I mean, at least for me, moments like Bon Clay ended up being the MVP of Impel Down, Shirahoshi actually being the weapon Poseidon, and even themes of children being addicted and having substance abuse problems / withdrawal issues really came out of left field for what I was expecting out of the story. And honestly, I love it because it shows how great of an author Oda is. Constantly being able to keep the reader guessing around every turn is amazing and is just peak storytelling. But all good things must eventually come to an end. Oda himself even estimated that the One Piece manga would eventually end around 2024 to 2025. And with Egghead over and Elbaf potentially on the way, there isn't a whole lot left for our heroes. Sure, we have a fair amount of opposition to face, a piece of one to find, and to hear Luffy's dream, but with the pace of information that we've been getting from Wano onwards, I really don't doubt that Oda could finish this in less than 150 chapters. Now, obviously for Luffy and crew to finish all of their goals, which my personal headcanon on the ending is we will likely see a lot of the crew members with their goal completed in a flash forward, years after Luffy has been executed, like Gold Roger, or has died from a sickness from his devil fruit. But before we reach them, we have to face off against Blackbeard, as he is Luffy's opposition. Akainu potentially, since he is the man who ultimately killed Ace, and now Imu, a lurking figure that controls the world government and the Five Elders from behind the scenes. And I don't know if any of you remember how long Wano was, but in my mind, it's hard for me to imagine that Luffy himself will have enough time or energy to be able to take on all three of these forces. I mean, think about how long it took Luffy to defeat Kaido finally, and from this point forward in the story, the fights are only going to become more and more spectacular. So, if Luffy doesn't have time to recuperate from all these fights, find the last poneglyph and make it to Laugh Tale, what happens to these plot lines that have been left open? Are these forces going to just squabble amongst themselves while Luffy beelines it past Blackbeard? I don't think so. In fact, I think Oda has been building up 3 protagonists to take on the end of the story. Let me explain. Let's start with the most obvious. Luffy is ultimately being set up to face Blackbeard at the end of the series. One is a man bathed in sunlight while the other one is shrouded in darkness. After first meeting his crew all the way back in Mocktown, Blackbeard has seemed to insinuate that not only were he and Luffy kindred spirits of some kind, but also just destined to meet. And he was right. Both of these men have been touched by fate in different ways. And after they would come to meet each other again in Impel Down, after it was revealed that Blackbeard was the reason for Ace's execution, it was made very apparent that Luffy and Blackbeard would end up in a battle for the One Piece. And if this wasn't apparent enough, right after this confrontation, it was revealed that Blackbeard could eat multiple devil fruit, currently 2, but theorized he could eat up to 3, making him a very serious player in the race to become the Pirate King. Flash forward to current One Piece and he is terrorizing the world, stealing pudding from Big Mom, attacking Boa Hancock, destroying Law's ship, and his chance at the One Piece. He's very clearly attacking characters that, through one way or another, are connected to the Straw Hat crew. And in doing so, is setting himself up to be the ultimate villain for Luffy and his friends specifically. Now, with Blackbeard out of the way, what about Akainu and Imu? Let's start with Akainu. Akainu marks himself in fans' minds as the man who killed Luffy's brother. The man who killed one of the coolest characters we had been introduced to up to this point in the series, and someone who likely would have rivaled Luffy on his way to becoming Pirate King had he lived to make it this far. But alas, we all remember that fateful moment. But one part of the Marineford War that I feel some fans may have forgotten was when Kobe yelled out across the battlefield for the fighting and bloodshed to stop. In doing so, Akainu responds by telling Kobe that the Marines have no place for soldiers who aren't righteous, referencing his viewpoint of killing pirates indiscriminately, and attempts to kill Kobe in the process. This is set up as a straight dichotomy to Kobe's viewpoint of the world, where he worked under a bad pirate, was saved by a good pirate, watched a Marine abuse his power and hurt people, and then watched the pirate be a good guy and defeat the Marine for the sake of the people. And in return, Luffy and Zoro were sent off to sea with a salute from the thankful Marines that they had helped. Kobe has shown that he understands that the world is colored with various shades of gray, while Akainu sees the world in a very stark black and white. And this, coupled with the fact that Kobe is Garp's protege and has been stated to be the future of the Marines, sets him up to potentially be Akainu's foil. We've seen in the story that Akainu is tired of being cooped up in his office of Vice Admiral and answering directly to the higher-ups. He wants to fight. He wants to kill pirates again. And I believe that when he gets the chance, he's going to take things too far. And so Kobe will have to be the one to step in and stop him. Or, at the very least, if Luffy is the one that ends up beating Akainu, Kobe will ultimately be the one that Marines start to gravitate towards, and we will ultimately see him as Fleet Admiral. Lastly, we have Imu. Now, at the moment, we don't know much about this character. All we really do know is that they have a strong connection to both Vivi and the Void Sentry, are depicted to be Satan-like, and possibly have the devil fruit, as they seemingly turn people into actual demons, and that they have some type of connection to Joy Boy. Now, obviously our current day Joy Boy is Luffy, and there's a very high chance that he is going to be the one to defeat Imu. However, for the sake of this video, let's say that Luffy only helps in the effort of defeating Imu, but isn't the one who necessarily defeats them in the end. Who then would we put in the place of Luffy to take on such a monumental opponent? Well, we've already seen him in presence of Imu, and we know he's a very important figurehead moving forward. So, I believe Sabo could be the one to take the spot of our third protagonist. Now, when I say protagonist, I just mean that these characters are all going to play a part in their respective battles that make them the deciding factor. And honestly, the way my headcanon plays out is the Straw Hat crew splitting up, and all three fights could potentially happen around the same time, becoming the most action-packed and hyped arc in anime history. I feel as if there needs to be a focus on the final race to the One Piece, and the interaction between Shanks and Luffy should probably be the last thing that happens, at least in my opinion. So having an insane arc that is constantly bouncing between Luffy versus Blackbeard, while part of the crew like maybe Robin, Sanji, and a few others go help Sabo on Luffy's request, as he wouldn't want to lose another brother. And maybe we also see Akainu confront Luffy, but as Kobe doesn't want to see Luffy die, he steps in to intervene like before and shifts Akainu's focus. If anyone were to stay behind to help Kobe, the only ones I could see would either be Zoro, as they do have a small connection from their previous interactions, or Jinbei, as he was there at the Paramount War and saw Kobe's courage. We could even get another scene, like when Jinbei asked Luffy to stay back and fight the Big Mom pirates to protect his fellow fishmen. Except this time, Jinbei would see the future of Marines in Kobe, just like Garp did, and would want to stay back and help that future become a reality. And Luffy, knowing Jinbei's decision making and wanting to see his friend defeat the man who killed his brother, would likely agree. One thing that I didn't mention with Sabo before is the fact that since he has royal blood, this adds an extra layer to Imu's foil. Imu is the head over the world government, over the world nobles, and Sabo his entire life has despised nobility. This just adds an additional layer as to why Sabo would more than likely be a good candidate for the one to ultimately defeat Imu. But with that, that's gonna be it, guys. Ultimately, we have Luffy taking on Blackbeard, as there's really nobody else that could take on Blackbeard at this point in the story. We have Sabo taking on Emu, as there is that connection of nobility / royalty, and Sabo has been shown to want to tear down that oppressive force by being with the Revolutionary Army. And lastly, we have Sabo versus Aka Inu. One Marine versus the other Marine. One ideology versus the other ideology. Aka Inu representing righteous justice that, rules with an iron fist, while Kobe representing true justice that guides with a gentle hand. Kobe has shown that he is a direct foil to Aka Inu and just realistically wants what's best for the world around him, saving the lives of those around him and stopping the needless fighting and bloodshed. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. That way you know when each and every single one of these videos comes out. Let me know down in the comment section below if you enjoy videos like this about One Piece or just video analysis over stories in general down in the comment section below. That way I know what to make in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time.